Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Let's get my video up so that I can see my chat, and I will be right along with the demo. Awesome sauce. All right. You missed an E, Janet. Hi, Mom to Create. So I purchased this set of watercolor brushes, and pretty much I got them yesterday. I was really excited about them because from what I saw on the description, they were water brushes, kind of like the Jane Davenport brushes, where they're actually, they actually have brush nibs, not like the other ones. Some of the other ones that they don't really have the brush nib, but they call themselves like watercolor pens. um, and so I purchased this on eBay. I got them for Hi Sasson. I got them for roughly about between $8 and $10, and that was with free shipping. And it brings 20 pieces, plus it also brings a bonus water brush inside. So let's go into the packaging, and then we'll go into everything else. When I got it, it was open like this, but I think that they opened it in order to insert the water brush, because I did get a water brush in the set as well. The packaging is a little flimsy, but for the price, I mean, I can't complain too much. The actual brushes inside weren't damaged, but they were a little flimsy, and the packaging came cracked. So that's pretty much it. The company is called C&Berg, and I've never seen these before, so they might be new to art supplies and stuff like that. Don't quote me on that, but I'm just saying. And it even says on the packaging, bonus water brush pen. So it came with that. It also came with this little card right here, which pretty much has like this the little Q codes or whatever you call these little things here. And you get 10% off when you scan this. So if you want to purchase any other products from their site, which I think they're linked mainly on Amazon, although you can find them on eBay, you'll get 10% off any of their future products and stuff like that. Hello, Jamilani. Now, what I will say is that I purchased this myself with my money. This is not, endorsed by them or anybody else for that matter. I was looking online for, cheap alternatives to watercolor brushes, and pretty much ran into these. And so I went ahead and got them just because they were really inexpensive, and I wanted to see how they compared. So you get 20 of them, and you get a lot of nice colors. And you also get a water brush, which I already filled with water. And so let's see what it says. It says watercolor effect. Dab the pen brush into water and use it on your paper to thin out the ink and create a watercolor effect. Don't forget to cover the pens back up with the pen cap right after using it, or it will be too dry to draw. So these can dry out if you leave them open. If the brush tip becomes too dry, use some water to wash it, and then wipe the water and cover your pen. Turn it upside down and wait 10 minutes and use it, okay? It says we are a 5-star product and seller on Amazon.com. So even on the packaging itself, it says Amazon. So there might be some kind of an affiliation there. And these are made in China. There is no other information about them on the packaging, and there's no booklet or anything like that included inside of the packaging. So who else is here? Erica, oh my God, how long? How are you doing, darling? It's been compare. I do have my Jane Davenports right here. Actually need that. That has water. I do have my Jane Davenports right here. The set that I got from Jane Davenport brings 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It brings 12. This one brings 20. Now, let's talk about the product itself before we go into the comparison of anything else. Yes, it does have really pretty colors. So let's get these out of the packaging, you guys. Oh my goodness. Let's get these out of the packaging. They come in this little flimsy bag, so chances are is that you're not going to be storing them in the pack, because the package itself, there's a chance that it could come like this, because mine came broken. It's really flimsy, and I don't see this as being something you can store them for long-term use unless your packaging comes out like really pristine. So they come in just regular little bags. Let's, where does this open? Right here. Yes, I hope it works well also. So right off the gate, my first impression just by looking at them is that they look a lot like they sold these watercolor brushes at Dollar Tree, and the barrel was pretty much like this. This is really sturdy plastic, and let me get some paper here to test with, just to kind of show you guys what it overall looks like. The brush, it is an actual brush tip, so you do get that, and you can go from thin to thick, back down to thin. Um, so it is a brush tip, an actual brush tip. And the color itself looks really nice, and it is pretty much the same color as the two from what I can tell on this one. But we will do some swatches to see if there's any variations in colors as far as barrel and color. So we'll check that out as well. Hi, Isabel. So we're going to check that out as well. So we have this aqua green. We have this red. We have a baby blue, an orange, a lime green, a brown, a lighter kind of brown. And then we have this other lighter kind of brown. So we'll see what that is. Maybe that's the skin tone. This looks like the skin tone too. So we'll see. So we have this beige as well. We have a royal blue. We have a purple. We have a yellow. We have a pink. We have this kind of mauve kind of color here. We have a black one. We have forest green or regular type green. We have this other green here. So we have three greens. And we have this violet kind of color. So we have a couple of these that fall into that. We have two of them that look like they're kind of orangey, so we'll see what that is. And then we also have a gray in this set, which is pretty cool. So overall, you do have a nice array of different colors. Let's see if the cap fits behind. The cap does not fit behind the pen, so just be mindful of where your caps are at all times so that you don't lose them. I will say that the bristles themselves come really nice. I don't have any, it doesn't have any like little frayed hairs, so that's always a good thing because you definitely don't want that. Oh, thank you. Somebody brought me drinks. Yes, and I guess they do also kind of compare barrel wise, like physically speaking, they also do compare to the Crayola one. Although I don't believe the Crayola ones have the brush nib. I don't know. I guess Mom to Create can answer that for me. Do they have the brush nib, the Crayola ones? Yes, these are really cool. I mean, I'm really excited to try them out. I can't say how good they are as yet because I didn't really play with them like that to see how good of a brush it is. And then they also sent this little water brush. This one does have a fray hair. It has one little fray hair, but nothing too major. So overall, okay. And I'm just looking to see how the nibs are overall. They do seem to come to a really fine point, and they all seem to be nicely held together. I don't see any frayed hairs. So right now I'm doing like a quality control inspection, if you will, just to see kind of how they go. And some of them are a little open, but I'm hoping that maybe once I add a little bit of water, maybe they're drying out a little bit, then that'll be well. Now, before I get into them, I do want to see what kind of barrel, what's inside of these pens. Before I start testing the colors out, I do want to see what's in the barrel, you guys. Let's see. They call them watercolor pens, but let's see what's in the barrel. So let's see. Can we pull this apart? Okay, that won't be easy to do. Let me see if I find another one that I can. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the barrel's pretty much empty. We have this little cap here. And, oh, most people probably wouldn't do this. But this is more or less how this kind of goes. This is like almost like a marker, like what you find inside of a marker. So this might actually be easy to refill on a DIY level. and the whole thing kind of comes apart like so. This just kind of is held there. It's not really clicking into anything, so it's just kind of held there. Um, so it's kind of like a marker barrel that it has. So I'm thinking that maybe we can refill these with our own DIY watercolors or even other things. Maybe like pearlized water or other things. So we might be able to do that. We might just have to like soak it in and see what it does. And then this, where is it? Let's take this cap off. This kind of goes in there. This was really risky business right here, you guys. But let's see. Hi, Debbie. Yes. So these might actually be really cool for you know, doing that. And maybe if you want to even turn them into alcohol type. I mean, I'm just, you know, spitballing here. You could even soak them maybe in some alcohol type, you know, colors like what we use for the sprays. So you might be able to reuse this in more ways than one. So that's pretty cool. And it clicks back in. From what I see, some of these might be easier to get off than others. It clicked in. So as you guys can hear that it clicks in. So you can actually take these apart and put these back together. So that's actually really cool because sometimes you can't do that. You can't put them in. And when the cap is on securely, it does click into place. So that's good as well. All right. So who wants to see some demo? Let's see. So I'm going to do some swatches here. And we're going to test this out. I'm going to do like, I don't even think I need to do the little boxes. I'm just going to go right into it. And then I have my water brush here. So we're going to see kind of like how this all goes. So let's start with our browns, our different shades of brown. Let's see what we got going on over here. Let me put this little baggie over there. And then we'll see what we're dealing with here. But I like the fact that it's got a lot of nice colors. I'm really intrigued to see like what they do on a real life situation, like when we're coloring in our stamps or if we're working in our coloring books and stuff like that. Me, please. Yes, right? That would be cool for a DIY. So if these work really well, I'm thinking I'm going to buy myself another set just so that I can have it on backup and see what we do with this. So let's go ahead and go into the browns. Now they don't have, the barrel doesn't have any name. It just has the company name, which is C&Berg. It doesn't have any colors. So let's see how true they are to. So that's pretty good. As you can see, you can draw different thicknesses in lines. You could even go to almost really, really fine. The tip more or less holds itself up pretty well. Now let's do a little square here. The paper that I'm using to test this out is not 100% watercolor paper. It's mixed media paper because I'm going to use what really more or less applies to me. Although when I do my demo, I am going to use watercolor paper to do some stamping and some coloring and see more or less how that kind of goes. So the brown is the same color. So the barrel matches the ink so far. So let's see how this kind of goes. A little bit of, let's see how far out we can spread this color down and see how it changes. So this is not considered a professional product for watercoloring, okay? This is more geared towards like kids and stuff like that, but you know, for having fun, nothing too major. Now, what I do want to do, I'm going to grab myself this little piece of silver here, and I am going to apply it to this little thing right here because it's kind of metallic, and I'm just going to lay down some color. And let's pick it up with our brush, kind of like if we were using a palette. And let's see. Let me add a little bit of water to that brush. It's drying out. There we go. There we go. Adding a little bit of water to that. Okay. So not too bad. Not too bad. Let me grab something to clean this off with. Got a lot of stuff going on my desk, you guys. Can you write script with them? We shall find out. Let's see. Let's test that out. So let's grab our brown. And I'm gonna actually dip it into the water here. So I'm gonna just spray a little bit of that water right there. Let's see what it does with a little bit of water. I can see that the nib automatically gets really, really clear. So let's hold that down. There is no squeezing on this, not like what you would do with, let's say, like the Jane Davenports where you squeeze the barrel, it's kind of flexible. There's no squeezing on here. Once your little thing dries out inside, you're gonna have to refill it somehow. So let's see. I'm not one for it got really light. Let's see. Let's see. So if you want the color to be really light, then what I would say, let's do some swirls. So it does fray out a little bit. Oh, that's fun to do. That's fun to do. So yeah, I think you could, if you have really nice handwriting and you can do like that calligraphy style handwriting, I think you could definitely do it with this. I think that'll look really, really good. Because it does come to a fine point. It does come to like, you know, it spreads out and it gets thick and then it kind of thins out. So you could definitely use those different lines, those different widths. So that should be fine. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. This is the other brown. So let's see how different this brown is to that brown. First, I think I'm gonna try it. Okay, so this is more like a walnut kind of color. It's kind of reddish. It's got like a red tint to it. Let's so that you guys can see what those two kind of look like. And it does spread out quite enough, you know, spread out's pretty good. But what I will say is that you do leave back some markings. So I don't know how this would be for like as you can see, you can still see the square where I actually drew on the paper. Let's see if we can wet this and see if it does the same thing. So let's just add a little bit of water here. Now, granted, again, this is not watercolor paper, so you will have to test this. It was between $8 and $10. Let me see. Give me a second, you guys. Let me pull it up and see. Let me pull it up so I can give you guys an accurate depiction of what this costs. All right, so I paid $8.50 free shipping, and I got it literally in 3 days. It's from US. This is a US seller. That's another thing I have to say. It's a US seller. It is a US seller, so they did come rather quickly. So yeah, $8.50, and you get 20 pieces of brush markers, plus you get the free brush pen. And I got it from eBay. But they also sell it on Amazon. I don't know what the price difference will be on Amazon, but that's a really, really good price, you guys, for something that you can play with and even alter later on and use for different things. Plus, you get the brushes. So if you think about it, it's like buying 20 brushes for $8.50. I think that's a really good bargain. Just if you take out the equation, the color system, and you just use it for the brushes, like that's a really, really, really good price. Now, I don't know about anything else. I don't know if you could fill this up with any liquid and it'll leak out. I mean, I'll probably test that out once I have no longer any ink inside. I'll do maybe some further testing and see just how everything else holds up. But for the most part, I'm doing this one. For the most part, I think it does pretty well. It holds up pretty well. I will say that. So for wet on wet, that's a little bit on the drier side. But for wet on wet, you don't get that much that much staining. It'll probably flow a little bit better. So if you're looking to blend colors, let's see. Let's try to see if we could blend two colors. Let's get yellow and green. I'll do myself a personal swatch later so that I just have all the different colors. Although from what I'm seeing, the barrel is pretty close to what the color is, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's get some yellow and some blue. And let's see if we can make green and see how that kind of works out. Let me clean my brush out. And what I'm going to do is, let me just grab myself a brush here, regular brush. And I'm going to try to blend it out with water. And then I'll see how it looks on the dry side. So let's mark this area off as wet and see what it does. So I'm going to apply some blue, just a little bit of blue, and let's apply some yellow. And let's see what it does. I mean, the color looks pretty decent for being the price that it is. Let's make it yellow. Let's make it green. The blended color is not as intense. Let's add more. Maybe I just didn't add enough. The color is not as intense. So let's see. Let's see. The moment of truth. Yes. Yes. The moment of truth is when you start to blend them, because us as artists, we're always trying to blend stuff out. So I want to see what it does. Okay. It's not blending out too well there. Let's see. I'm going to try on this watercolor paper and see what it does. I should have a used up page that I don't really care too much for. Well, this one's got a squiggle on it. Somebody was playing. So let's try it on this one and see what it does on actual. This is a Strathmore watercolor book. So let's see what it does on this one. And again, I'm going to wet one side. And where's my thing? This is the wet side. And this is dry. And let's see what it does. Put my little chat thing here. Drum roll, please. All right. So this brush seems to be sunk in. Hold on one second, you guys. I'm noticing that this brush seems to be sunk in. So I don't know if that's a manufacturer problem or what. What the heck is this? Okay, this. This one is a little different. This one has a little plug inside. So that's weird. The other one had a little cap. This one just has like this little plug. So I don't know what's up with that. So this one, for some reason, is a little different. See how it kind of dances in there? $8, you guys. So yes, I might have to put something in there to keep that from coming down. So I'll have to figure that out. Maybe like a pen cap or something that I can, DIY and see what that does. But yeah, $8 and the little brush is dancing in there. I knew it felt kind of short when I used it. I was like, what the heck? Kind of moves. So I'm going to have to email them about that. Just let them know that quality control right now is not on point. Well, let's see. Let's see. Just want to see what happens between these two. How green of a green do I really get? Uh, I mean, it's green, but it's like a muddy green. So I don't know if that has to do with the pigment or what. So this would definitely be something that I'll be DIYing later on from the looks of it. It's green, but it's not, it's like a moss green almost. It's not really that intense. Even though the two colors are very intense when you put them together, it's not really intense. And from what I see here, it does kind of keep, you know, the shape. But again, it's an $8 pack of brush pens. You get 20 of them. So was I expecting perfection? No, I was not expecting perfection. It would have been nice. It would have been nice, but not expecting that. But it is blending, you know, it is blending. But as you can see, no matter how much I hit that little section here, it stays really, really bright. No matter how much water I hit this with, it stays really, really bright. Let's bring this down as much as we can. So, you know, the green is not that intense. Overall, the colors as they are more or less as intense as you're gonna get them. Um, this one is damaged. Let's hope that none of the other ones are. Um, so I'm thinking we should do some stamping, right, and see what it does. I didn't try the dry side, so let's try the dry side. Although I don't think it's gonna be much difference, but let's try the dry side and see what's gonna happen with that being applied dry on dry. The color comes out nice, so there's a nice color flow on here. I mean, for being a cheap brush, I mean, you guys can see that the color really, really comes out. The brush is nicely saturated, so I'll give it a plus for that. Sasong. So I'll give it a plus for that. The color does come out nicely. On the yellow one, not so much. I mean, the color does come out, so I won't say that the color's not you know, feeding through. It is feeding through. It's just the fact that the brush itself came out a little damaged. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm gonna try this with a real brush for right now. I think I've done enough of the watercolor brush. So let's try a real brush and see what it does. I'm gonna just wet my brush, because this is what I would most likely use to paint anyway. I'm just gonna move it all over both and see what happens. So dry, when it's dry, there is really, I mean, you get a little bit of blendability. The color is way more intense, I guess. But as you can see, my swatches, you can see them. You can see them. Those swatches are not moving. So beware what you use this for. Could you use this for like flowers and stuff like that? I think so. Can it work for painting faces? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That'll definitely be something to do. So I'm going to get a clean page here in my watercolor book. And we are going to stamp and paint and see what happens. The colors are really nice. A comparison. Let's see. Let's compare it right here on this page. We're going to compare the Jane Davenports to that one. So the one color that I noticed that we have that is similar is this one, which is the Byron Bay. Byron Bay, I have that color, a similar color to that. I guess in this one, this would be the most comparable one to that one. So brush wise, the brush, this one is way more fuller than this one. As far as thickness and bristles, how much bristles this one has compared to the other one. The Jane Davenport one is a little bit thinner. Both look equally saturated. Obviously, the body is very different one from the other. These are also refillable. you know, they screw on, they screw off. This, you can work with it, I guess, to a certain extent, but you're gonna go through a little bit just to unpop them and pop them back in. Price wise, huge difference. Color selection wise, huge difference. However, let's see what happens when it comes to blending. I think that these, let me get myself a little something. Let me do it on this side of the page here, since I have pretty much not much going on this side of the page. Let's do Jane, and then let's do C&Berg, CB and Jane, right? So let's see what happens. What I can do to those poor pens. So Jane's right here. I mean, the color is really, really saturated. Really, really, really saturated. And the color is really not the same. This is more bluish. This is more greenish. I probably could have used the baby blue to do this one. So the colors are not the same. Definitely, definitely not the same. I don't know what's wrong with my eyes. Colors are not the same. All right, so let's see. Let me get my water brush. And let's do Jane's. I'm going to add a lot of water to this and just thin this out as much as I can. See how much. I mean, this has a lot of pigments in it. The Jane Davenport ones do. And although I can still see where I laid down the original little square, there's a shadow around it. So I can still see that. You guys can see that right there. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. You can see the little circle there. That's where I laid down the original color. But I mean, pigment wise, you can probably stretch this down a lot. I mean, look at that. I'm still kind of going. So, you know, obviously the Jane Davenport ones are going to be way, way better quality. Well, not obviously, because sometimes things sell for higher and they're not really better quality. Sometimes you can find, you know, things that are cheaper and they're, you know, better quality than the expensive ones. So this is the green one, because that's the color that it looks. It looks green. I mean, I guess when it thins out, it does look similar. But oddly enough, when you put the swatches, this one looks really intense green and this one looks blue. So, but the end result is more or less the same. This one doesn't have as much pigment in it. As you can see, I can cover a greater area with those. And you still have this really intense kind of green left over. Where this one kind of faded out, you can still see the shadow. This one, you can see the whole thing. You can literally see where I put that there. So, you know, keep that in mind as well. This is not for fine art. This is for, you know, lettering and just little small things here and there that you want to just get a nice little burst of color. But overall, this one stains your paper. This stains your paper, so you won't be able to blend that out as evenly or as nicely. I will be buying other ones to test them out and see. So, you know, stay tuned for those as well, because I'm going to try to see which ones are the best ones out of all of these really inexpensive ones. But let's do some stamping, you guys, and see what we do. Let's create a page. Let's have some fun. Let's create a page, you guys. So let me put these somewhere, because right now it's driving me nuts to have all of these things like just spread out here. So let me just gather all of these. So overall, I mean, the Jane Davenport's, obviously the pigment is higher. You get a lot more out of this, you know, just because of how much you can spread the color out. But for $8 for small little projects or for lettering and just, you know, maybe mixed media even, stuff like that, I think you could get away with. And the price point is, you know, pretty good. Just gonna get myself a little bucket here so that I can kind of put those in there. So give me 1 second. Let me get myself a little bucket. This is where these are gonna go, because I won't be storing them in their packaging. So Let's get this party started. Yeah, for the price, I mean, you can't, like I said, it's a good thing to kind of play with. Nothing too major, nothing too serious. But I think more or less for me, the possibilities of DIYs for this later on are really what's kicking it up a notch. That's making it even better. That's making it even better for me. So I have here the stamp set. It's got like it's like a fairy garden type of thing. And we have some trees. Oh, it's open already. And we have some trees, and we have this little tree, some little mushrooms, and we have this cute little fairy. So let's try it and see more or less how this works out. And then after this, you guys, make sure you come back with me at 6 o'clock. I'm going to be working on a canvas, and we'll be doing that live as well. I just wanted to do like a real world application where you guys actually see what's happening as it's happening. And more or less, that's why I decided to go live with the demo today, so that you guys can see what's going on. Let me just get myself some ink. If I can find myself an ink pad, that'll be awesome. Where is my ink pad? Can you lend me your ink pad? I don't know where my ink pad is. I don't want to waste too much time looking for an ink pad. You would think I would keep my ink pads with my ink. I thought I did, but it's not there. So I'm going to borrow one from Sasson. So I'm going to use some archival ink. Where's the ink pad? The ink block. The stamping tray. I'm going to try this one. Okay. I'm going to try this one. This humongous one. So let's see. Let's see. Let's see. All right. So first thing I'm going to stamp out is my tree. And this is another eBay purchase, you guys. So we're going to see that. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thumbs up for the demo. Thumbs up for the demo. And let's see here. Put this like so. And hopefully this does a good impression. And let's see. Let's see what happens here. So let's put our tree down. Okay, not too shabby, not too shabby. Not so shabby. On to the next one. Let's add some mushrooms here and there. Let's add some mushrooms here and there and see. Who told you you can use my stuff? So we're going to try this. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I had to. I had to. So we got our little mushroom. Let's stamp that right there. Let's create a little scene. I think that didn't do nothing. That's because this is here. Sugar and spice. Sugar and spice. Okay, stay there, because you're messing me up right now. So let me try to see. Let me stand up so that I can see where I gotta place my stamping at. Okay, hopefully that'll do it. If I double edge it, it's all right. It'll just have an extra layer of shadow on it. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna go too crazy. This is just for demo. And let's see. Let's add the girl and see what the what the skin tone color looks like, because I know a lot of us are wondering, can I use this for, oops, let me see. Can I use this to color, let's say, my gorgeous girl stamps or stuff like that? Somebody didn't snip this at this, so I'm going to snip it here. Still connected. And let's try the little fairy girl and see. 1, 2, 3, push. She's alive. So let's see. Put this here. All right, so let's put her here. And then we'll fill in the rest of whatever we got to fill in. I just want to do a little test run. and see. That's stamped out beautifully. And let's do, yeah, I think that's good. Just to test out the colors and stuff and see where we go. Where we go from here. All right, you guys. So I got my watercolor brush. Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna get the brown. It's the first thing I'm gonna work with is that brown to work out my tree. So I think how I'm gonna go about this is to kind of draw it in. And I'm using the one that's a little bit more reddish. So let's see. Let's see how this kind of goes. I'm just gonna add color here and there and then just see how I can kind of spread it out. See how that kind of goes. Very nice. And see how that kind of goes. Oops, I still have green on my brush. What? There we go. It cleans out really quickly out of the brush, so that's a good thing. So when you use a color and let's say you need to transfer to another color, it cleans out of the brush really, really fast. So let's see. Now, as far as what they said about dipping the brush in water, I don't know about that. I would not really do that unless you're looking for a really light tone, because that doesn't really work too well. It just lightens it up. It creates kind of like a color wash, but not really do what you need it to do. But let's see. Let's see. Now my paper's already a little bit wet, so let's see what it do. Let's see what it do. Mm, we'll have to see how it comes out because right now I'm not 100% convinced. I'm not 100% convinced, you guys. Okay, I'm going to use these two greens. One's a little lighter than the other. So I'm going to go in with the dark green around the bush. And I'm going on this on a dry. The paper's dry. I haven't pre-wet it. So I'm just going to kind of add color here and there. And then I'll spread that color out and then kind of move from there. And see what it does. And see what it does. So as you guys can see, I mean, this is on dry technique. I'll do this one wet and see what the difference is. But when watercoloring on dry paper, you don't really get that much movement of the color. You get some, but you don't get as much. I'm gonna add more water here and just see what it does. You don't really get too much. Once it soaks into that dry paper, it really doesn't move much. I will say that. So I think with the paper being wet, it does probably a little bit better than with the paper being dry. Now for lettering and stuff like that, like I think the dry probably will be your way to go. More so than, you know, applying like that. And also keep in mind when you're applying it, when it's wet the paper and you're applying the brush, your color is gonna dilute like crazy. So you won't get sorry about the noise. You won't get that background. Huh? You won't get that background effect. You know. It'll really, really get light on you. So let's see. But I like how it spreads though. I like how it spreads. But this is not for every kind of an application. But it's really intense. Let's pick up some of that green and see if we can pick up some of that color. Let's blot it out. It blots out really nicely. So if you have any mistakes and stuff like that, you can probably blot it out. It will lighten up for you. So overall, who's number 12? Jan is number 12. But overall, just make sure that when you put in your lines, you know, you're really careful how you do it and stuff like that. And you should be good to go. Let's blend this out a little bit. So I'm applying color over color and seeing just what happens. So I didn't really do that. And again, still on this side, I'm working on the dry. I'm working on dry with the brush and then adding water to it after just to see what it does. And yeah, it doesn't move. It really doesn't move much. You get a little bit, but you don't get much. And then the issue is that when you go wet it, then your color is lighter. So when you apply water to the paper first, it'll just dilute it all out. So let's go into this one here and let's get some other colors here. Let's get some orange and maybe some of this violet color and see what it does. I'm gonna wet this first. I'm gonna apply my color first. For $8, you yeah, right. For $8 is not bad though. For $8, 20 colors, and they have a 40-piece set as well. So this is not the only. They have a 40-piece set as well. So I'm gonna work on this little by little. Ooh, the orange one is a little frayed, and somebody's hair was in it. The heck? So this one's kind of coming apart a little bit. Okay, I took the hair out. Hopefully that'll be it. So let's get this one. I've watered this section here. I've added some water to it. This orange is not really. I almost wish there was a push button on this now. I almost wish that I could push the color in. But I think if you just hold it down for a few, which is what I'll do, the color will kind of come. And I do want to be able to layer. Let's see. This one, the brush, it's got a few frayed hairs. It doesn't want to close itself back up. So just be aware that, you know, you might get a little bit of boo-boos here and there. Nothing too major, but you might get some boo-boos. You might get some boo-boos. That is a really light orange. I'm going to put this down. And somebody's hair is there. Let's try a different one. Let's get this one, a little bit more intense. Let's get this one and see. See, this one pulls it down a little bit nicer. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let's try. Let's try this one, you guys. And I think I'm going to be here just for about a minute or two more. And I have to start getting ready for my official live stream. I don't want to make this review too long. So I'm just going to add a little bit of color here and there. This is a really nice and intense. So on some of them, you're going to get really, really nice, intense colors. This violet one is a really, really nice and intense color. You just have to be aware that it's not ready for that kind of stuff. I think what I'm going to do with this, let me get myself a piece of plastic. So I guess what I'm saying overall, for the price point, is not bad. I'm going to add some color directly to a piece of plastic here. For the most part, the brushes do come to a fine tip all over again. I found one, the yellow one, I think it was just a manufacturing. There was no color quality control. So the yellow one was a little bit messed up. The orange one has some frayed hairs. And I don't know, the color's a little light. Um, but overall, I think your best bet will probably be to use them like I'm using them here. I think that that'll probably give you the best control is to swatch it out. Like, you know, put some on a piece of plastic or a palette or something like that, and then use it from the palette. You'll be able to have more control of the colors. Um, and I think overall that'll probably work a little bit better for you. But the brushes themselves, you know, they're pretty decent. They're pretty decent, the brushes themselves. They really are. I like this violet color. It's really pretty. Um, let's see. What can I add here? Let's get this black. Let's try this black. Oh wow, she went quick. She was not playing. She said whoop whoop on its way. All right, so I'm gonna, oops, I diluted that black a little too much. So I'm using it straight from plastic, and that'll probably be a little bit better for you guys. You'll have more control of the pigments that's in the markers. So when you use them from a palette, you probably have way better control overall. And with the brush that they give you, you definitely can get more bang for your buck as far as using them. The colors come out way more evenly when you use them off of a palette than using them straight away from the pen. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Yeah, you have way more control. The colors come out a lot nicer. So I actually do like how they are with the plastic, you know, using them on off of a palette as opposed to using them straight away from the pen itself. The brush is nice. The ink is good. So far, so good. The only thing left for me to try is just the skin tone and this little cute fairy right here. So let's go into the skin tone. I think I showed here more or less. You can see that it's not that, let's see. Here, when I use it straight away from the brush, you know, use it like drawing first and then watercoloring it down. You do get a lot of the harsh lines. Those still are visible. However, when I used it from a palette, um, after I went in, the color was obviously way better, more diluted. I was able to get more control of the colors and the saturation. Using them straight away, you know, brush to paper, even with water, which I watered this down a little bit before I put it on, I can still see, you know, the different areas where the color did not dilute all the way through. However, when I use the piece of plastic as a palette and I watered the color down or applied it directly off of the plastic with the water brush, I was able to get way more control, and you'll be able to get more radiance and different shades. And you'll probably be able to blend a little bit better doing it this way than doing it straight onto the paper itself. So is it worth the $8.50? I say yes. I say yes. I say yes, you guys. For something to play with, something to, you know, experiment with, you know, learn letter brushing, lettering using brush pens and stuff like that. I think that this would be a really, really good option for you for basic, you know, kid-friendly type of coloring and stuff like that. Yes. Is it a professional tool? No, it's not. It's geared more towards, you know, children or beginners and learners, people that are just starting out. So keep that in mind. You're not getting a professional tool here. You're getting something that more or less will help you become better at what you do. And so with that being said, I think that it's not a bad deal. Let's see how the skin tone applies. So I'm adding it in there. You more or less saw me take the thing apart so you know what it's made up on the inside. You're not getting a little ink cartridge, you know, full of color and ink. You're getting, you know, something that resembles more what's inside of a marker. So, you know, bear that in mind as well. The water brush that they sent you is a regular water brush. Nothing too fancy about that either, but it holds its point. At least the one that I received holds its point really well. And I think it does overall a really good job. I can get into really tight, small spaces. The brush comes back to a fine tip. So that's always a plus because you don't want, you definitely want your brushes to be able to come back to a fine tip. The peach color is a little orangey, not too much, but it's a little orangey. So yeah, again, just be aware of that, that straight on the paper might not be your best bet. I would definitely recommend having some kind of a palette or even using a recycled piece of plastic like I'm doing here to kind of dilute your colors and bring that out even more. I really love this violet, and I'm not even a purple person, and I just love how that violet looks. Hi, Rosa. So overall, you guys, I think it's a really good price, really good investment. $8.50. You really can't go wrong. And the paper is dry. And again, you do have a little bit better control if you dilute the colors beforehand or use it, using a brush pen like I'm using here. So not too bad, not too bad. Let's use this hot pink and see what this hot pink kind of does. You don't need a lot of color either to kind of play with it. And it does create a nice watercolor effect when you're using it this way. This would definitely be my recommended way of using this, is with a palette, some kind of a piece of plastic or a film. I think you'll get way more control that way. So yes, not too shabby, not too shabby. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try the blue. Let's try the blue. And then with that, you guys, I will be commencing and ending this live stream. Um, I just wanted you guys to see more or less what it was, and see it kind of like in action in different ways. See how it performs. The colors are really vivid. Like I said, color-wise, the pigment is really good. So I do have a few downs, but mostly it's a lot of ups. So it's not too bad. It really isn't. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Just to play around and just, do some basic stuff, color in some flowers, some basic things, color in a card and stuff like that. As long as you're using it in this way with the palette, you're going to be way better off. Let's make her hair blue just because we can. You can go as dark or as light with it as you want if you're using it off a palette. So $8.50, you get 20 colors. You guys can see, there's different things that you can apply this. People use different techniques for their, their arts and stuff like that. So you could definitely go a long way. There's still pigment on my brush even after I did her hair. So you guys can see, even after I've already applied it to her hair, there's still a lot of pigment in there. So, check it out. I'm gonna buy myself another set just to have it there, because after these are dry and done and I can't use them no more, I'm gonna DIY the heck out of them. So stay tuned for that. So with that being said, you guys, I hope that you guys liked the review and the demo. You learned a little bit about the product itself. Remember, this is not endorsed by anybody. I purchased this myself. And yeah, check it out. I mean, listen, $8.50. That's how much I paid for it. I got it in 3 days. That's not bad. That's really not bad for all of these. For all of these. And I think the fact that we can refill them ourselves to a certain extent, and the fact that they are brush tips, does, you know, do a lot for the product itself. Um, for $8.50, I'm not gonna ask much more of them. Only that they make sure that the brushes are where the brushes are supposed to be. And so far what I can tell is the colors are true to the bodies. So if you're looking for this color and this is the color you want to use for your watercolor, this is the color that you're going to get. So I like the fact that the bodies themselves really do match more or less very accurately the pigment that flows out of them. You have a nice assortment of all different kinds. The only thing that I do not like is the fact that it's really hard to blend them when you're using them straight away on paper. You can blend them somewhat, but the residual that is absorbed by the paper is really, really highly pigmented and pretty much stains the paper. So if you're doing a masterpiece, don't go straight at it with the brush to the paper. Even if you apply water, you're still gonna have that residual left over. You're still gonna have that mark left over. My best advice, sorry about the noise, people are riding by. My best advice to you is to use it from a palette. You have a nice arrangement of colors. You get 20 of them for $8.50, plus you get a free brush. Use it from a piece of plastic. Recycle your packaging, your materials if you don't have that. And use it from there. You can dilute them right off of there. You can use them on the brush right from there. And you can have fun and go ham. So with that being said, you guys, thank you all so much for being here. And I hope you guys will join me later on my live stream at 6 p.m. I'm gonna be working on a canvas, and we're gonna see what we do because I'm still trying to figure that part out. But I will definitely catch you all later. Thank you all so much for being here. And yeah, bye.